How's it going, everyone? We're back to go over some bicep options for you with dumbbells. Most of you have already done these. If you're going to stand, make sure you have a little bit of knee flex and you're controlling your core muscles. Otherwise, if you get a little sloppy with the core, not only are you cheating and not isolating the biceps in this case, but there's likelihood that you're going to put undue strain on your back. So do pay attention to your posture if you're going to do standing curls or standing any exercise for that matter. So here's my standard curl. I suggest people do them one at a time. You certainly can do them two at a time, which is what I'm going to show you basically in the bar exercise in a minute. But when people do two dumbbells at a time, the tendency is to start arching the back. If you can control the back, then go for it. But to make it a little bit more simplistic and easier on your back and to isolate each side, just do your standard bicep curls one arm at a time. You can change that by using a neutral grip. Now this is going to work more along the side of the bicep and into the forearm a little bit more. You can do that same curl with a twisting action. Now I'm working into the forearm, all around the bicep. I can start with a neutral grip and do a reverse twist, and now I'm working even more into the forearm in addition to the bicep. So those are four options for you to work with your dumbbells. All right, let's do some curls now with the bar. This particular bar you can see is what we call a curl bar. You can either use a straight bar or a curl bar. The rationale behind a curl bar, though, is that you can put your wrists, your hands in a little different position. So for those of you that do struggle in the wrist, this is going to be a much more secure position for you. And really the choice is yours. But curl bar is what most people will do bicep curls with the bar, especially if they're lifting heavy weights. So here's my options with the bar. I can use a wide grip as I'm coming up. I can kind of move them into a different curl position on the curl bar. So now I'm working a little bit different area of my biceps and the surrounding muscles. I can get it nice and tight. So here's another example of a curl. I can do an overgrip position, still working the bicep, but now I'm working more of my forearm. So this is what's called a reverse curl. I've now moved over to what we call the preacher curl bench, and I grabbed the bar that I just showed you when I was doing bicep curls. This preacher curl exercise is excellent in terms of strength producing. There's no way of cheating here. You're plopping yourself onto this pad and all you're gonna do is do that same bicep curl, but you can't really use anything other than the biceps. You don't even have to really think about engaging your core as much because you have to based on the position. So I can use the same variations that I showed you on all the other exercises. I can do that same preacher curl with a wide grip if I want. I can move it in nice and tight. And just by changing those grips, I'm working a little bit different area of the bicep. I can use a overgrip and now do a reverse curl. This is still working the bicep, but it works your forearms a lot more. So preacher curls is definitely a good way to go. Okay, let's move into a couple tricep variations. This is a machine that is no longer in the Line Center. There is one in the Village. And this is a good way to work your triceps. I'm improvising a little bit based on the handle because we do want to have an overgrip position for the most part to activate the triceps. So I'm bracing myself, good core action here. You're going to feel the core get involved. As you push down and extend the elbows, you're working your triceps. All right, so now let's do some cable push down. Most of you have done this. This is not exactly what you've seen in our gym, but like I told you in the first demonstration, you're gonna go from gym to gym, and they're gonna be similar exercises. The piece of equipment's gonna look different, but it's basically gonna work the same way. So in this case, I'm using the lat pull machine, but I've swapped out the bar, and I'm gonna do the cable push down, which most of you are familiar with. I can adjust that by moving my hands out a little bit, or I can add a longer bar. And I'm gonna work a different head of the tricep, keeping in mind there are three heads of the tricep, so as we change the grip, we're gonna work different areas of the tricep. All right, I moved over to the bench, and now we're gonna do an exercise called kickbacks. Remember this position when I gave you the back demonstration and I did a one-arm row? That's gonna work your lats. Similar starting position, except I'm gonna start with a flexed elbow, nice flat back, and all I'm gonna do is extend at the elbow, and this is gonna work my tricep. It's called kickbacks. I can make that a little more demanding and vary it by kicking back and then adding a little twist as I come up. And that's going to work pretty much all 3 heads of the tricep. I'll flip around, I'll work the other arm back and forth, and the kickback is going to work definitely all 3 areas of the tricep. All right, let's stay on the bench and let's do another tricep exercise. It's called skull crushers. Using the curl bar is probably preferred, but you definitely can use a straight bar or even a dumbbell. Be careful, make sure you have a good grip on it. It's always advisable to have a spotter for this particular exercise and all your bench presses for that matter too. Anytime that bar is coming above your head, it certainly helps to have someone there to bail you out. So with any tricep exercise, I'm just flexing and extending at the elbows. There's the flexion, there's the extension. You can see where the name comes from if you're not very careful. So that's skull crushers. It's a great way to work your triceps. All right, let me show you one more exercise for your triceps. It's called tricep extension. In this case, I'm going to use a dumbbell. I'm going to make sure I have a nice firm grip on it. And I'm not going to bring the dumbbell over my head. I'm going to bring it around and now get into position. I want to tuck the elbows in as tight as I can and make sure you're aware, as I mentioned over and over again with these exercises, you're aware that you have good posture. Nice straight line from hips to the top of your head. A lot of people will do this extension exercise with their head tucked, and after you do a few reps, it's going to be a severe strain on your neck and your lower back. So good posture, tuck the elbows in, and you're simply going up and down, flexing and extending at the elbows, and that's going to activate your triceps. All right, we worked with biceps and triceps. Now let me show you an exercise that's going to work your wrist flexors and your wrist extensors. A couple of dumbbells. In this case, I'm sitting down, kneeling down rather, and I have my arms on this bench. All I'm going to do is do a curl, similar to my biceps, but I'm just moving at the wrist. So this is a good way to activate your forearm muscles. Flip them over, and I'm working the other side. So flexors and extensors, there you go. So there's some arm exercises for you to experiment with. I would encourage you to vary it just as we're trying to do with all these demonstrations so that your body doesn't get used to the same movement. How much you vary is up to you. Have fun with it, just experiment with different exercises. You're gonna zone in on what you feel comfortable with. There's some exercises you're not gonna like. Don't overanalyze it, just don't do them. Find an exercise that's gonna keep you coming back and keep mixing it up so you're forcing your muscles to do something different.